You're watching Community Conversations, a Concord TV production.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to Community Conversations. I'm Doris Ballard, your host. This is a production of Concord Community TV, or Concord TV, as we like to call ourselves. And we also have a podcast, so if you know anyone who would like to tune in, go to yourconcordtv.org and look at it on demand. And thank you for watching. All right, today I'm going to read you something that is an event coming up for a very good cause. So on October 25th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m., the Women's Caucus for Art, New Hampshire, will be hosting an event with the Women's Club of Concord on Pleasant Street in Concord. You'll hear all about that. And participants will create tiny works of art with inspirational, heartwarming messages, and it's to benefit the Payson Center for Cancer at Concord Hospital. Now I want to introduce my two guests who are a part of the Women's Club and also the Women's Caucus for Art New Hampshire. And get ready to hear some great information that these women are doing in benefit to our community and beyond. All right. So I'm going to introduce first Elaine Bello. You're a member of the Women's Club Board of Directors. Yes.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I want to welcome Brenda Wilbert. You are the arts representative on the board, correct?
Yes,
And
it
then-
represents the Women's Caucus for the Art.
Yes, all right. So I must admit that I know of the Women's Club and I know of the Women's Caucus for Art New Hampshire, but I love the idea that you're working together and you're collaborating. So I'm going to start with you, Elaine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and something about the Women's Club and what its mission is?
Sure. Well, I'm an interior architect with a studio at the Concord Community Arts Center and it's a lively practice called the Interiors Group. I do commercial, residential, institutional, all over the eastern part of the country. I also teach at Boston Architectural College a couple of days a week. So I move around the New England area quite a bit. But when my husband and I moved to Concord, I found the Women's Club right away because my mother taught me long ago that that's a great way to meet wonderful women. And it's turned out.
Wise mother.
Yes. She was always a member of the Women's Club, and I just grew up with that in my life, and I thought, I got to find them in Concord. And I'm so happy that I did. And we do a lot of good community work. We do provide scholarships for young girls going off to college. But the history of the Women's Club of Concord is pretty interesting. It was started in the late 1800s by Nellie Chamberlain and a friend, Mrs. Streeter. And when Mrs. Chamberlain died, she bequeathed her house and all its contents to the Women's Club. So we have a beautiful mansion at 44 Pleasant Street where we rent the lower floors for events. We hold our meetings there. And the really special part about it all is that upstairs we house women. We have 3 bedrooms where women they live there and they use the whole house and they share in our work. And they pay a little tiny bit of rent, and
So it's a bit of a revenue source, but at the same time you're helping
absolutely
women.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and so much of our work is like that. The Women's Club brought the Red Cross to Concord. The Women's Club raised the money that the city of Concord pledged for the founding of Franconia Notch State Park, which is a place near and dear to my heart. And the Women's Club ran a job center during the Depression and placed over 400 people in good jobs. And they also served as a hospital during one of the flu epidemics. Most of all, though, they were a center for culture and education and community connection for women over the years. And having that house has been a wonderful thing for us, but it's also a lot of work to maintain an old home, and it's a special one because it sits at the juncture of 2 historic neighborhoods, and it is on the historic register itself. But early in my tenure on the board, I learned of the need to raise funds for restoration, and another member of ours, another board member, Nadine Peterson, is a specialist in that area, and we ended up writing grants and getting 2 LCHIP grants, and
Wonderful.
and then with our board member Ann Toomey, who's an expert grant writer, and I do grant writing too. We wrote for more grants, got one from the Von Weber Trust, and we've redone electrical stuff and exterior stuff. We're doing chimneys now, and it's just a lot's happening. The biggest focus we have right now is women working together, other women's nonprofit groups working together. And we always had an arts chair on our board, but we got this, somebody, I think it was Hansi Glan, came up with the idea of asking the Women's Caucus for Art, it was Linda Graham, to give us a person from their organization to sit on our board as the arts chair.
Wonderful.
And that's how we got the fabulous Miss Brenda
Amazing
Wilbert.
idea. That's
Yeah,
You're setting a model for others to follow, I'm sure.
we think so,
Ah.
yeah.
Well, let's go on to you, Brenda Wilbert. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the Women's Caucus for the Art New Hampshire.
Well, I'm a mixed media collage artist. I'm also a playwright, and I have a theater company in Concord, New Hampshire with my husband. And
Who is also a playwright.
He's also a
Charles
playwright, Charles
Wilbert, yeah.
Wilbert. And the Women's Caucus for the Art is a national organization. And so we have our New Hampshire chapter, and the New Hampshire chapter is extremely active. It's one of the most active chapters in the United States.
Wonderful.
And we, the mission really of the Women's Caucus for Art is to really empower and help visual artists. And we do this through exhibitions. We actually give a scholarship to high school kids who are studying art. And we have we have joint ventures with the Women's Club. And what has happened is, as Lane mentioned, is I think about over a year ago now, I was at my first Women's Caucus for the Art meeting, and we have a meeting like twice a year for everyone, because the Women's Caucus for Art is New Hampshire, so there's artists from all over the state of New Hampshire. So at the first meeting, and the person who was already in the Women's Club, there's a 2-year stint to do that, and she said, she started mentioning it. I said, I like to do that. And it's been great, really. I mean, the women are so wonderful. The Women's Caucus of the Art, the women are so great. And what I want to mention is that with the Women's Caucus for the Art, we are in different locations. And so what we do is we call it pods. Like we meet at Twiggs Gallery, the Concord area. And some people from the north come down, and we meet the second Tuesday of the month in the morning in Twiggs Gallery, and we bring our art, and we talk about it, we show it, we discuss art, and then sometimes we stay and have lunch and just socialize with each other. And also, something else that is really important for you to know about is we have a text and textile show that's going throughout the state of New Hampshire now. And Alice Fogel, she's the Poet Laureate of New Hampshire. She shows poets, published poets in New Hampshire, to work with artists. And so I have an artist, a poet that I'm working with, and I made the painting, and she wrote the poem. And now it's everywhere all through the state. If you look at the Women's Caucus for Art in New Hampshire, you'll see where it is. And I've made arrangements for the last leg of the trip of the tour to be at the state library in Concord. It's going to be in March, and then we're going to have a really nice event. But it's a beautiful, wonderful show to have the poetry and art together.
Well, that's exciting. I'm like, you should both have your own show here. That's what you should do. We'll talk about that for sure, because you can't say it all in 1/2 hour.
Right, definitely,
If you're just tuning in, my guests here are Lane Bello. She is on the board of the Women's Club in Concord, and Brenda Wilbert is also on the board, but she is with the Women's Caucus for Art, New Hampshire, and they're collaborating in a beautiful way, and they're going to be inviting people to be part of an event for a good cause, which is the Payson Center for Cancer at Concord Hospital. So we'll talk about that in a bit, and I want the last part of the show to be all about that event. 'Cause it sounds like something I would even love to be a part of. So how many members right now would you say are part of the Women's Club?
We usually have somewhere between 40 and 60 members. I'm not sure exactly what the number is right now, but we have members like Sylvia Larson and Mary Giles and people with connections to the Concord Monitor, and it's a fairly professional group of women. We have a civil engineer on the board, Janet Levy. She's our liaison with White Park, and
That's right. You have an event at White Park, do you?
No, but
why White Park?
Well, they need support. That group needed support in the community, and the Women's Club
That's another.
made the connection.
Right.
Well, Janet Levy's an engineer, and so she provided engineering services for their recent redo. There's some things with groundwater that needed to be addressed. And she also provided the services for dealing with groundwater at the house during our restoration process. So it's just, everybody's got these talents.
It's a beautiful house
Oh,
as well. It is
wait
really
till
beautiful.
next spring when it
Really?
gets painted. It's going to
Oh,
be
my.
gorgeous.
Exterior?
Yes, yes.
Any specific color?
We have Liz Hengen, an architectural
Heard of her,
historian, who's going to be helping us select from an array of colors, which were used at the period when the house was built.
Wonderful.
So
Oh,
it's
my
probably
gosh.
going to be some kind of a beige. That's what it was
Well,
originally.
We're going to have to talk about you possibly doing a little time lapse of
Oh,
that
yes.
whole thing. Yeah, we'll talk
yes,
about that, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Concord TV, we have a lot of very powerful women here. One of them is Melissa Sweat, who's the director of this program. So,
She's impressed me
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
All right. So, how does someone become a member? And I'll go to yours in a second. How does
Okay.
someone become a member of the Women's Club?
There's a lot of different ways, but I think the funnest way to join the club and learn about it is to come to one of our things that we call First Fridays. So the first Friday of every month we have a social from 5:30 to 7. And we just, bring a little wine and have some food and just get together, check in with each other. As you can imagine, there's a lot going on with all of us, and we have a lot of catching up to do every month.
Right.
Then there are the activities of the club that we could talk about, but it's not a business meeting. It's really just a social gathering. We have a ball. Sometimes 5 people come, sometimes 50 people come, and we just hang out, and the setting is beautiful. It's this gorgeous parlor, series of parlors connected together, and gorgeous woodwork with an ingle nook and the big portrait of Nellie Chamberlain, and the dining room, and all the contents of the butler's pantry came with the house. So we have tea and beautiful service, and we get in the kitchen together and gab each other's ears off. But we sometimes have speakers come to the First Fridays, and we hope you'll come.
Oh, I'd love to come and
it's
talk about
beautiful.
what we can offer.
Yeah.
Right.
And then one can also go to the website, womensclubofconcord.com, and download an application. It's $45 a year for membership.
That's very reasonable.
Very
Right.
reasonable for everything
Right.
that comes
And
with
you get
that.
scholarships, et cetera. You do good work, very good work.
We do,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and Brenda, so your part, and how many members are approximately part of it? I know it's national.
Yes, I don't
so-
really know at this moment how much are in New Hampshire, but it's a huge organization nationally, a big
Right.
one.
But locally,
It
Yeah.
seems like you have like 30 or 40 members.
No, there's more than that,
More.
really,
Yeah.
yes.
but they probably come in and out, and then as time.
Well, the thing is,
Right.
what I think the difference is like the Women's Club, it's in Concord. We have our events. The first Friday we meet people, and the Women's Caucus is out through New Hampshire. Do you know what I mean? So how we meet each other is maybe through our exhibitions.
Right.
Like at the Kimball Jenkin. We just had a show at the Kimball Jenkin recently. And so I ended up meeting people I never met before. Somebody lived in Plymouth, a photographer. That's a great way of connecting. And people came down for that. But the exhibition opportunities are all through different parts of the state. So that's,
That's great.
And if you ever see an advertisement for one of those exhibitions, you got to go because
right. Yes.
I know.
they're
Yeah.
incredible.
But if you go on the website, the Women's Caucus for
Okay.
Art New Hampshire, it talks about all our different events, and then it talks about how you become a member and sign up.
So basically, go to the website.
That's
Women's Caucus for Art
New Hampshire.
New
Yep.
Hampshire. Oh, is it spelled
NH.
out? Yeah. Oh,
NH.
it'll get there anyway.
Yeah.
If you, and then also the Women's Club of Concord.com. All right. Now we have this very exciting event to talk about, which is why you're really here. And for those who are just tuning in, this is Community Conversations, a program produced by Concord TV to help build a better community and have people such as Elaine Bello here from the Women's Club and Brenda Wilbert from the Women's Caucus for Art NH. And now we're going to talk about your great event on October 25th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And who wants to start?
I think I'll start. Yeah.
Brenda.
Well, as we had mentioned before, the second Tuesday of the month, we have these pods that the artists meet at Twiggs Gallery. And at one of those meetings, the Twiggs Gallery in Bosco had talked about that they had made little artist cards, and I'll mention what that is, and they were delivering them to the Payson Center for Cancer for the patients and caregivers. And I thought, we're always looking for a joint event to the Women's Caucus and the Women's Club, and I thought this is a great idea again. And that was very successful, and people loved it at the Payson Center. So I mentioned this to both. I go from one board to the next, the Women's Club, the Women's Caucus. I talk to them. I'm liaison, and we said, let's do this. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making little works of art. And when they talk about artist trading cards, they're like 2.5 by 3.5. And generally, like I'll give you an example. On the Women's Caucus for the Art, they have somebody kind of in charge of artist trading cards. And they may say, for the month of April, we're going to, everybody, I want little cards made for, let's say, with yellow and pink or something, all right? And so anybody wants to participate, and they'll say how many people participate. And so they make their little designs, a collage, however they do it, a representation of their art. And then they trade them. So everybody gets one. They get it in the mail, somebody else's card. And we did that for our Christmas party. We had after that, for the Women's Caucus, our little pod, we met and we had a Christmas party. We all knew how many people were coming, so we all made our little cards. And they're like really like works of art.
So do you make the same card for the
No,
you just make
we make
all individual.
they're all
everyone is
individual. They're all
it's not
different.
mass production.
No,
This is art.
No,
My
this
goodness.
is art. And so what happens is, what we're going to do now is we're going to make little works of art and inspirational sayings on them.
That's
right?
They're going
And
to
that-
coach us. Anybody who shows up is going to make them together with
No
artists.
art experience
advice.
necessary.
So I was going to say that I'd love to do that, but I'm not an artist.
Not at
you
all.
know.
Doesn't
I
matter.
mean, and we're supplying all the supplies, but if artists are listening today and who are coming, and anybody else wants to bring any kind of collage material for us, we're happy to accept it. And we will have refreshments, and it's open to the public, and you don't have, no art experience is necessary. It'll be so much fun.
But you'll be amazed at what you can produce in that environment.
That's it.
There's so much creative energy in the room in one of
Right.
these events.
Yeah.
And there's artists all around coming by and admiring this and admiring
That's
that. And before you know it, you've created something that you didn't even know
That's
you could
right.
do.
So you'll leave having created one piece? Or
Maybe
many
more than
more,
one.
okay.
And what I want to mention too is that if anybody out there who can't come to the event and want to make these artist cards, make these little works of art, then they can send them over to the Women's Club at
right.
44 Pleasant Street, and we'll be collecting them over there, and I will be delivering them over to the Payson Center. And I actually talked to, there's a social worker over there, it's my contact, and I will, and there's a radiation person who's in charge of radiation oncology, and that person may even come to the event. But anybody from Concord Hospital, any other places, they're welcome to come over, and we'll have a really fun time. And also, it's important. You know, for people who have cancer, they're going through a lot. I'm actually a retired psych nurse practitioner, that's my background, you know, and healthcare background for so many years, and just it's going to really help and brighten their day, really, and the caregivers.
That's wonderful. Is this the first year you do this, or have you done this in the past?
We've had other women's art caucus
Yeah.
events at the Women's Club. One was just a little drawing exercise, or coloring exercise actually. But as an interior architect, I'm a visually oriented person, so I really enjoy just being in a room full of artists and listening to their conversations, and you know, just another way to meet interesting women who do good work. And so that's when I first really learned about the caucus and the great work they do.
But something I want to mention about the Women's Club, because it's a great organization, and they go into the prison, the female prison.
yes.
This is an important, they're doing art now in the prison. And we have Linda Graham, she's on our board, and she's the one that's coordinating that.
We have
so-
a book club for
Yep.
the women at the prison.
Yep.
Really?
Hansi Glenn
yeah.
goes every month, I think, or might even be every 2 weeks, to run a book club with the women in the prison, and they love it.
Who do you work with at the women's prison? Is there someone in particular?
There's a chaplain there, and
Oh.
I'm afraid I don't remember
So
her
it's through
name.
the chaplain? Or?
Yes, and
That's
we have to go and
wonderful.
get training, which is very interesting. And
Oh.
you know, as a Quaker, I've always wanted to do work in the prison,
Yeah.
so the Women's Club's group has given me that avenue. One time I went and gave dancing lessons.
I love it.
and the women loved it. They
love it.
you know, it's a little bit of exercise, it's a little bit artistic, and, you know.
So I hear your passion when you talk about, you know, the Women's Club, the Women's Caucus for the Art, New Hampshire, and I know that you have a goal with this special event. What are you hoping will happen? How many people do you feel, or caregivers and patients you feel you'd like to reach? Do you have a goal, or is whatever the universe brings is what's going to happen?
I feel that way, but
Right.
that's why I was saying that, like for instance, I went to a meeting the other day, and it was all two other women clubs. Our women's club, of Concord,
Yes.
And other women's clubs, and I told them about the event, and I said, and some of them said I couldn't come, but they would like to make something. And I talked to another artist today who told me I can't come, but I'd like to make something. So I thought, you never know what we're going to get now.
That's right.
So if we put it out there to Concord TV, to the viewers,
Right.
then maybe they'll make little works of art with inspirational messages, and we'll see how many we're going to get.
Well, I'm going to have a challenge for both of you.
Yes.
Is to take some pictures of
We will,
them
definitely.
and share them with us, and we'll get them out through our
will.
distribution. And you can come back every year and show what some of it as an example of what was done from before.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great.
we will talk, ladies.
Right.
Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. So if you're just tuning in, the little power group over here. Elaine Bello is with the Women's Club of Concord, and Brenda Wilbert is also working with the Women's Club. It's a collaboration with the Women's Caucus for the Art New Hampshire, and they're having this great event on. Now the 25th is on Thursday. From 5:30 to 7 p.m. at their location, 44 Pleasant Street in Concord. Just how do you sign up? How do you?
You just show up.
You just show up.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you have capacity.
We do.
You know, right?
We do. We have a large parlor and
So
open
you bring
area.
yourself? Do people bring any refreshments?
Some
or
people bring
anything?
something to share,
All right. So
but
it
it's not
helps out.
necessary.
Okay.
We have stuff.
I'm going to ask you both one at a time because we're getting down to the wire here. Elaine, what do you get out of being involved with this kind of a project and with the Women's Club? What do you want to share with the public as to
Okay.
the benefits of it?
All right. First of all, there's the benefit to the recipients, which is top most important. We want to help people who need a little help right now. But any of these efforts with any of these kinds of nonprofit groups, I think, especially when there's art involved, I think strong women with the energy to give to their community have usually some sort of a creative drive inside. And I know if I don't have activities that use that creative energy, I'll just shrivel up and die. So this is an opportunity for me to play around with some interesting materials in a room full of artists where I might get some other ideas, or and just really just kind of, it's like when you're a little girl and you're just coloring
Right.
and you're just sort of thinking about, oh, that color looks nice, and oh, look at those lines, oh, she's doing it differently, I'm going to try that.
Right.
It's just playing
Right.
in an unstructured way, really, or with a little bit of structure that Brenda's providing for us. But letting your mind go where it will go. And then I ended up the last time talking to the woman next to me who was the president of the caucus at the time, Kate Higley, and becoming good friends with her. So, meeting other women, similar mindset, creative outlet, and
It's a
most
win-win
of all,
all the
good
way
work.
around.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think I'm going to hear a lot of the same from you, Brenda.
You are, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
As an artist
yes,
and a
then-
playwright.
Right, and I always like to help people, especially who have illnesses. I've done that throughout my whole career, and as a psych nurse practitioner, and then a marriage and family therapist, and an artist, an expressive art facilitator, and I'm a playwright who does medical educational plays. So I feel like it's just kind of the way that we're going to really brighten up the days, and help people be present. They can look at, and then they can feel love. When you're going through an illness, a lot of times you do feel very alone, even though you have people, because it is a lonely feeling to have an illness, even if you have a support. But then to look at something, like I made like 3 of them just to take a picture of these artist trading cards. They were all hearts, and they had these love in there. They had different sayings. And I just feel like they can look at that, maybe going through chemotherapy, and then they could see that somebody cares about them,
cares,
So
right.
that's really, so I feel, and then the other thing, it's really important to have women friends. And I think that's really, we have such a camaraderie at the Women's Club and the Women's Caucus, and we support each other. We go to each other's exhibits.
Yeah,
we
that's
go to
wonderful.
each other's events. I think that's strong. That's important.
Well, you will both do such wonderful work within your organizations, the Women's Caucus for the Art in New Hampshire and the Women's Club of Concord, which is on 44 Pleasant Street. They can go to your website to find out information about this event, which is womensclubofconcord.com. And will there be information on the Women's Caucus
Yes,
for
they
Art
will.
NH?
Yes.
They can Google that. And I want to thank you both for being on Community Conversations, and please do come back often and let us know what you're doing. And we're a very visual organization ourselves, so send us some inspiration as well. We will.
Well, that's it.
Be happy
And
to.
I'm going to think, and maybe I will go on Thursday, October 25th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. on 44 Pleasant Street in Concord, New Hampshire, to create a 2.5 by 3.5 inch works of art with inspirational and heartwarming messages that will go to benefit the caregivers and patients of the Patient Center for Cancer at Concord Hospital. Again, thank you for all you do, and I hope you'll come back and be a part of Concord TV, because that's why we're here, to help you get the message out.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for tuning in. Go to yourconcordtv.org. If you've only caught a little bit of it, you can watch the entire program on that on our website on the playlist. And again, if you want to be a part of us, 226-8872. Talk to any one of our staff. And if you want to do create your own show, or be a volunteer, or learn new media technology, that's what we're here. So again, thank you very much, and thank you both, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Community Conversations, a Concord TV production.